If you are thinking about starting RV life, or if you've just started RV life and you want to do this off-grid, I have 17 ways to beat the heat, because the heat is one of the things that is the most challenging to get away from, or to stay cool out there. Even if you chase the elevation, I'm telling you, today was 79 here in Phoenix and it got up to 86 degrees in my RV. But being off-grid poses its own unique challenges, because obviously you're not just plugged into external power and you can't just turn on your air conditioner. You might be able to if you have a generator, but we'll get to that. There might be a couple more little tips that I've forgotten about, but I'm going to tell you about my favorite ones, and so here we go. Number one. Some of these are going to seem pretty obvious, but if you have an awning, put that awning out. If you can, if you're off-grid, you likely can position yourself any way you want to be positioned. So face the awning side to the south so you can have as much coverage during the day as possible. Another favorite tip of mine that I've only seen one person do, and I've thought about it before I even saw this RV with that particular setup, but you can put two awnings on your RV. So if you have one on this, it's always on the door side, but manufacturers never put one on the other side. If you don't have slides, if you can work it, put one on the other side as well. Face yourself like butt to the south, so then you're gonna have an awning for the east and the west to keep that sun off of your RV. Chef's kiss. My second tip is to reposition yourself. If you didn't originally park yourself to where either the awning is facing south, or let's say you have a whole bunch of windows on one particular side of your rig but not the other, you're not going to want those windows to face the sun. You just want to get your windows facing the sun as little as possible, and obviously you want to have your awning so it's shading your RV as much as possible. Now here's a quick little bonus tip. If you're going to put solar on top of your RV, some people use raised racks. So because they want to put as much solar on the roof as possible, but there's things in the way, such as the air conditioner, fan openings. So they'll put a rack, however high, on the top of the rig, and that rack essentially is going to also shade the RV. So it's another little bonus to having a raised rack. It's not the best look in the world, but it'll give you the most solar power and also shade for the summertime. And with the repositioning, that could even mean positioning yourself to where you are shaded in the RV by whatever it is, maybe mid-afternoon sun. So maybe there's a hill, you can go kind of park by that. If you don't need the solar for that, then give yourself the protection from the afternoon sun. Another one is cooking outside. Obviously, if you use your propane burners, that's going to heat things up inside. There are other appliances that might heat up inside as well. So if you have a grill, go ahead and take it outside. Use the grill out there, keep the heat outside. Next is elevation. If you're off-grid, you're hopefully able to travel around. If you can travel around, then you probably already know that you're going to be chasing the elevation. So you chase the elevation just because of weather. You're going to go up in the summer, you're going to come down in the wintertime. Summertime, I'm always up in mountains, but it still can get very hot. You can have 85, 90 degree days, even up at 9,000, 10,000 feet. It's crazy, but it's true. I can never remember this, so I had to look it up again. Temperature generally decreases by approximately 3.5 degrees Fahrenheit to 5.4 degrees per 1,000 feet. So you do the math wherever you are, figure out how high you need to get. But I also like to just go on Google Maps, and wherever I'm thinking about going, I'll zoom in on that spot. You can't have anything in the search bar, like get rid of if you hit Frisco for the city or something, delete that. And then when you zoom in enough, it'll show you in the bottom right hand corner exactly what the temperature is right there, right then. I love that feature because I can go, oh, I know this area is a little higher. What's the temperature there right now? Without, going on an app and entering the city name. No, you just zoom in. Perfection. Next, you've probably heard of this, but if you haven't, it's a bubble wrap stuff called Reflectix. Let me show you. I just got some. Reflectix. I just received this today. It was gifted to me by Kathy. Thank you again, Kathy. You are a beautiful human being. I'm also going to showcase the other thing that you got me for. She's worried about me at Burning Man with heat, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Reflectix is super simple. You just cut it with scissors to whatever size you want. And then the RV windows, mine won't hold them all that easily, but some are deeper and you can just really easily just stuff the piece in there and it will just hold. If yours are a little bit like mine, these are shallower than my other RVs. So I don't feel like these would hold too well, but still you can just rig something up so that it will stay up. It could be tape, it could be Velcro, whatever you want. And the other thing you can do is, it's not the most attractive stuff, right? I mean, unless you just really like silver, cool, you do you, but you could put some material on it on the side that you're going to be looking at, because you're looking at it all the time. Like, I would put this on it. I love that. I would put my fur. I literally just took this out of my other RV. But that's just a little suggestion, something that you can do to make things look a little bit nicer while your place is full of Reflectix. Now, you don't necessarily have to do every window. You're going to do the south side windows or the east and the west windows, which, however you're positioned and whatever works the best for your setup and your situation. But it is a good idea to have Reflectix that fits each and every window in your RV. So no matter how you are positioned, you can use that whenever you need to. You can also use this, like if you do have a motorhome, which this is a motorhome. It's a cheap way to just put this on top of the windshield. Like if it's extremely hot or you're a Burning Man or something, put it on the outside of a windshield, tape it down, and that will really help keep the heat from coming in. Next up, most RVs do come with a vent fan. You can see mine, one of mine right there. That's actually just a vent hole. There's no fan in there yet. I got to get one for it. Since that's just a hole, you want a fan, and you want a decent fan. The best, really the best name brand fan on the market is Max Air fans. They're not perfect though. They do tend to squeak a lot. I've known a few people that have asked for a replacement motor or solenoid, something, and it's supposed to stop that squeak. The nice thing about their most expensive one, which is horridly expensive, $350 to $400, it has a remote, it has a temperature set where it will come on once the temperature gets warm enough to whatever you set it at in the RV. I believe it has that. It definitely has a button on it that's something like, you press that button if you want it to turn on once it's over 78 degrees. And also that expensive one has a cover that will allow you to leave the vent fan open even if it's raining. The rain will not come in because of that vent fan cover. There are knockoffs out there on the market that might be what I'm getting to replace this one, because $350, I'm sorry, it's just not in the cards right now. But there's also knockoffs that aren't quite equivalent. So I got one in my bathroom here. I just installed this one. I took a risk and ordered, this was another gift from my wish list, and thank you once again, you know who you are. This is, it's got a giant blade. As you can see the whole fan blade and how big it encompasses the entire opening of this, and that is what you want. You don't want one of these with this little dinky fan that's this big around, or like this big around. That's literally what this came with, and it does not move air. I don't think it'll move a fart. So replace it. This one will suck air out or pull air in, and that's pretty, and of course this has a light. It's a god-awful light. It's very blue. At least it's bright, but God, I got to get something on there so it's not so blue. We need to warm it up. But the best plan of attack, if you don't have AC, I would get, and you have 2 vent fan holes, I would get one that can suck air in and one that can pull it out, and you have them just suck air right through the RV all day, and that greatly helps keep the RV cooler. Another quick tip, sounds like the easiest thing in the world, but people just don't think about it sometimes. Have a fan inside. So I have a fan that's on the wall over there in my bedroom area. I have a standalone small fan. So there's DC ones that you can run from your battery and USB. If you have an inverter, then you can run a 120 volt AC fan as well. What? Just having air on you throughout the day is very cooling. The more stagnant the air is, the warmer you're going to feel. You could even get one of those that has the mist spraying. I have one of those now for my bike for Burning Man, and it's got battery powered, and it just constantly emits a light mist on you. That seems a little extreme, but it could help if you're really in dire straits. So I mentioned the awnings before. 1 is great, 2 is even better, But third, another thing that you can do is get a piece of shade cloth and hang it down from the RV. Also, this obviously is going to work best if you are blocking the east, west, or south sun. Depending on where the sun is and where you want it blocked is going to depend on where you're going to put it. It also will give you some privacy. So if there are people around, you have your awning out and then you have that shade coming down, and it just gives you kind of a little patio, a little porch feeling there. But you can put it on you can put it on two corners of the awning. Because in the sun, if this is my south side, when it's going down over there in the west, it's going to start hitting me anyway. But if I put a piece of that shade structure hanging from that end, then I'm still going to have good shade from that. You can buy those pre-made, and you can also just make some yourself. There's a shade cloth called Illuminette. I think it comes in different percentages of how much light it blocks, but it does let air flow through it, which is why people tend to like that one quite a bit. So again, depending on your needs, how windy an area is that you're in, you could use a Illuminette or just any other type of shade cloth. Another potential for you would be to buy a standalone swamp cooler or evaporative cooler. I bought a large one for Burning Man 2 years ago, and it was truly a lifesaver for me at Burning Man because my AC didn't work, because my generator didn't work, because it was just too hot for the generator. This is going to work best in drier environments. It's not going to be so great in the east. It will only cool you down so much because the air is already full of humidity. But out west, it's quite dry, and adding that water to the air lowers the temperature. And I was quite impressed with mine. Mine was about this tall from the table. It was about a little 2.5 footer. It wasn't a small evaporative cooler, and I had it in my van. I had to have it on my bed in order to fit it anywhere because it's a 17-foot van. And of course, you have to have water to fill the thing with, and you have to keep filling it as it uses the water up. But it consistently dropped the temperature inside of my little van a good 10 to 12 degrees. Now, in something bigger like this, it may not be quite as effective just because it's having to work on a larger space, but figure it out for yourself. Look how large or small your rig is. Decide if that is an option for you. Right along those lines, another option that a lot of RVers have been doing, and I don't know why they haven't been doing it much until now, if you have the space, if you have the battery capacity and the solar for it, you can put a regular household mini split on your RV. That's all I can tell you about that. I don't know about all the amps, volts, the charging of the unit that you have to do. All that stuff is on Google. Just go do your search. But yes, you can put a mini split on an RV. I have several friends who have done so. Works just fine. Now, again, if you have a 25-foot RV like this, it may not cool down the entire RV, but what you can do is put a curtain around your bed area, have the mini split in that area, and then shut that off whenever you need to. If it's super hot during the day and you just need to cool down, you can create yourself a little space that's nice and cool. If you have a motorhome, this front area, the cab is going to obviously bring in a lot of heat because of the windows. Mine doesn't so much because I have an overcab. So I literally have this overcab that shades the windshield, but the two side windows, you can buy pre-manufactured blackout type shades for all three, for the windshield, the two side windows, whatever you want. You can choose to just buy yourself some Reflectix and cut it to the shape, use it for the windshield or the side windows. I have two pre-manufactured, one that wraps around the whole entire windshield plus the side windows on the outside, and I have two Reflectix type pre-made, pre-manufactured shades that fit right on the insides of the windows. Why did I decide to get both? Because safety reasons. If I am in a place for whatever reason that it's summertime, really hot, and I need to keep it as cool as possible in here, but I don't feel very safe where I am, I will only use the two side windows because I can take those off when I'm in here. The one around the outside, if something happens and I just suddenly need to beat feet, I can't see. I can't go anywhere. So that one becomes a danger. It becomes a problem for my own safety. So I decided to get both. But absolutely, that plus getting a curtain to block off the cab area from the rest of your RV, because again, Even if you do cover that area, there's probably going to be some heat that leaks through. And so get yourself a double-sided curtain, something with a insulation in the middle, and hang that up and be able to close that whenever you need to keep it cooler inside your living space. So your vent fans that I talked about are great when they're running and they're open and you're sucking air through. But let's say it's raining or something, or it's just not warm enough for you to be having them on for whatever reason you want them to be closed, you can use covers for the vent fans. Now I have two different types. Now this was another gift. Same lady got this for me. Thank you again. It's got a cover, but the cover is not here. And it came vacuum packed, and it is still not like flatten itself completely out. But this is made to fit inside of the vent fans. And if you have one that's deep enough, that's all you do. You just stick it right up there and it stays stuck because it's just like slightly larger than that opening. Very, very effective. Sometimes they have Reflectix on one side of them. If it's pre-manufactured. You could just buy your own foam and stick it up there. It's up to you, but I'd put something like Reflectix on the roof side just to keep it from seeping through the foam itself. Or buying a pre-manufactured vent fan cover like this. This one has magnets in it, and you put magnets in the bottom of the vent fan. I covered mine with glitter because that's me. And then this just adheres right to the top of the vent fan. The other nice thing about these two things is if it's a motorhome, when you're driving down the road, it dampens the sound. Works really well. So both of those work extremely well. They're very helpful for blocking out the sun because those vent fan covers, black or clear or opaque, doesn't matter. When the sun hits it, the sun really does come through there. So unless they're open and the fan is on, they're a great being the wrong word, source of heat entry. So if it's really hot, your refrigerator also might be suffering. It might have a hard time holding temperature, especially if you have an absorption refrigerator versus a compressor refrigerator. So the absorption refrigerators, probably the compressor too, the way they work is they remove heat. They don't really cool anything down. They actually remove heat from the air inside the refrigerator and then they push it to the outside. When it gets really hot, so they only work a certain amount below ambient temperature. So if it gets to 90 degrees and the refrigerator can only go down 30 degrees or so from ambient, you do the math. It's going to be too warm for your food. And there's a couple things you can do to help it cool a little bit better. And one is to buy a little fan. There's battery powered fans you can buy to stick in the refrigerator. It just circulates the air within. And I don't know how or why that works, but scientifically that works. Google it. You can Google that. I don't feel like looking it up and explaining it to you. I just know that it works. Have I ever used one? No, but that's just me. You could also wire a fan and somehow get a wire going into the inside if you don't want to constantly change your batteries and you live in it full time. That's another option. On the flip side of that, putting a fan on the outside section where you go to the back side of the refrigerator can also help to move air back there and keep things from overheating. Just another thing I've seen. Have I ever done that? No. Two more things to go. They're both air conditioners. So one, most RVs will come with a rooftop air conditioning unit that runs off of 120, meaning you need a generator to power it, or you need an inverter, or you need to be plugged into external power. When you're off grid, you don't have the external power, and you may not have an inverter connected to or large enough for that to run. So you can, if you have enough battery and solar, you can get a 12-volt rooftop air conditioner. Quite a few different companies sell these. So they're made to fit inside that vent fan hole right there. Remove the vent fan, install the thing. You got to get the wires to it. You got to know how to do all that, figure all that out, but it's doable. And with enough, like I said, with enough amp hours and solar to recharge everything, you can have off-grid air conditioning. I will be doing that here in this RV. And then lastly, you may have a generator on board that can run your 120-volt air conditioner that's on the roof. That's all good and fine, except two things. Number one, if you're going up in elevation, the higher you get up in elevation, the less effective the generator can work because oxygen levels are dropping. Some generators do have like an oxygen adjustment, but many don't. And that doesn't even mean that your generator is still going to work. It just may not if it's at a high enough elevation. But there is a bit of a workaround for that. You can get something installed on the air conditioner called a soft start. So it just helps the initial power that's needed for that initial turning on of the unit to be less. And if your generator might be fine with it running the way it runs once it's on, but it may not be able to get it to start with that initial surge. But with a soft start, it actually might be able to do that. I had a soft start on my travel trailer. I had two 2,000 watt generators needed in order to get that thing to run. But yeah, at elevation, there were times when it wouldn't work. So I got the soft start and it mostly worked from there on out. So extreme heat is another factor. I keep mentioning Burning Man, but we will be mentioning Burning Man on this channel a lot. Last year, I bought a 2,200 watt WEN portable generator, thinking it's brand new. It's higher than the first year when I only had a 2,000 watt generator and I had problems. Year 2, I had the 2,200 and it was brand new. Should have been all fine, but no. On the hottest of the hot days, that thing just said, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this. And I had no air conditioning because that did not work. Would the soft start help with that? Yes. But it's still not a guarantee. Generators just do not like extreme heat. So there's that. Humans do not like extreme heat. I do not like extreme heat. I don't even like any heat. Don't want to sweat anymore in my life. I feel like I've done my fair share and I'm good. That's a wrap. I don't know that there's too many other things I can think of or on the top of my head that would help you with the extreme heat. I mean, closing your shades when the sun is right there, that's pretty obvious, right? Like we're not getting that simplistic. These are things you may not have thought about, may not have known about, and hopefully will help you from here on out. And that's all I got. So let me know in the comments if you think of something else. What did I miss? Let me know and follow along. Click subscribe, comment, like it. Thank you so much, and I hope that helps, and we'll see you around. Bye.